Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your pleasure. This particular story is called It's True, We're Adorable, written by The Cursor Hasn't Moved. Hey Esteban, so get this. No crap, we're adorable. It turns out it wasn't a joke. The Xenos think that we're the most adorable thing ever. Well, not all of them, but basically all of the mammals, which are around 60% of the population of the explored regions, and almost all of the bird people, which bumps that up to 80%. Even some of the reptiles, squiddies, and bug people think that we're at very least not disgusting, which is an improvement over the ants, but worse. But who cares about a bunch of gross, worse ants? I sure don't, but here's the thing. We're everywhere, or at least one of us is. You'll never guess who, or maybe you will, because of how we met those Xenos at all. Oh, and taking a job on the Belvy ship is the tits, if you can get the medical corps to clear you as either good for shipboard duty or get you onto one of the MH-certified ships. Way better than sitting around Sanctuary all the time. My ship even has a shuttle that makes planetside every couple of weeks, so I don't ever feel too cooped up. Oh, but you're going to have to get used to being called a sneaky, even if you're about as subtle as an AP, mine, to the face. Anyway, there are plushies of Greg George all over the place, and cartoons of him, and all over shirts and bags and everything. The bearded versions are more popular, and I'm growing mine out to see if it gives me an advantage, which is, what I'm writing you about. You can get away with putting the most ridiculous planks, and the brews think it's fecking adorable. My therapist is all, try and find a place on the ship to belong. But all I want to do is push the pranks as far as I can before they get mad. They're so earnest that I'll end up being pretty tame compared to when the dirt powders and us get into it. I'm not unfair. If that guy can monetize how cute the Xenos thought he was, then why can't I? But then again, he ended up a legend out here too. But lost boy gonna lost boy, what can you do about it? Guy has a statue in a park on a station, Dart War Park, the only one with a name that isn't complete garbage. Who would want to take their kids to Recreation Area C? Lame-ass names for stuff is, probably universal. How many colonies are called Hope, like, 12? Do we have any statues of him? We should. Guy was a fecking badass. The report is cute to the Xenos, and that got him that statue. It even looks all cartoony and shit. But hell, even when I am on planet side, I get all kinds of Xeno versions of squeeze and cuteness overload, especially when I do some heavy lifting or turn off my PGD for some low-G maneuvers. I'm still trying to work out how to take advantage of this, but either way, it's pretty hilarious. My ugly ass, adorable. My sister is going to laugh her ass off when we drop into real space and I calm her on the hollow. So anyway, take care of yourself out there and start thinking about life after service with you. Even the lost boys got to find homes. You can too. Semper Fi. Trevor, why are you such a jackass? Obviously what you do is you go into advertising. Just think of how many people buy useless crap because the ad was cute. Also, if you hurt your Blavuses by accident, I swear I'll come up and sack-tap you into the next galaxy. Semper Fi, Esteban. Hey Esteban, dude, that's such a good idea. Also, I'm not a jackass. I'm just lovably difficult. I did get into trouble over a prank involving expanding foam. The captain gave me a lecture of all things, and I never felt like such an ass in my entire life. So the limit of what you can get away with is blocking off the main corridor with fire suppressant. I kind of messed up the math. Nobody got hurt. Please leave my family jewels alone, you weirdo. Semper Fi, Trevor. End of story. Story number 2. How Humanity Conquers, written by Erebos Yeet. So, they conquered you? Asked the Andecan journalist. Excuse me, I asked. I didn't really remember what the interview was about. The Andecans are relatively new members of the intergalactic consciousness. I had welcomed the journalist more out of obligation and real interest. The pursuit of knowledge is incredibly important for early members. When you ask to help, you can't really refuse. The humans, she clarified. Oh, the humans. I'm sorry. What exactly are you asking? I'm asking when the humans first arrived on this planet, she answered politely. She seemed pretty nice, the way omnivores often are. It's the herbivores you have to look out for. Nasty bastards. Very protective. First contact was made about 400 years ago. About 40 years before I was born. She nodded, presumably as a way of thanking me for the answer. I'd look her in the eyes, but I honestly had no idea where they were located, so I stared above her head, hoping it wasn't obvious. And is that when the humans invaded? Excuse me? I answered. Is that when the humans invaded you? You've got it wrong. The humans didn't invade us. We invaded them. Oh, she said, crossing something out on her notepad. So how did that invasion go? It wasn't incredibly hard, if I'm honest. Our technology far surpassed theirs, and they only inhabited around 20% of their planet. It took about 3 months to gain modest control. Modest control? Yes, only modest control. Many groups seemed intent to rebel every chance they got. It didn't help that our former enemies, the Exbesh Galaxy, sold them weapons at quite a discount. She took a moment to think about her next question. She was woefully unprepared. A bit of a shame, really. But not to worry. You have to start somewhere. So eventually they were able to beat your military? They could have, but it would have taken centuries. Then how did they conquer you? She asked, now completely flabbergasted. How did the humans become your leader? I finally understood the confusion. It's hard sometimes, being an expert on things. You lose sight of what's self-explanatory and what isn't. Most isn't. Nothing is actually, but it's easy to forget that. Well, the first human immigration was not quite voluntary on their part. We had some population issues. It's actually a reason we invaded in the first place. Cheap labor. Cheap or free? The Andekan interjected. Cheap! We aren't savages. I smiled politely. The humans probably wouldn't have agreed. So it was those immigrants who eventually rose up. They didn't. But their arrival had unintended consequences. You see, we thought that we were colonizing the humans. The reverse was true. The Andekan sat uncomfortably on the beige chair that wasn't quite made for her body type. Piecing things together, she was interrupted by the door opening a bit too fast, a bit too loud, revealing a 6-foot-tall, lanky-looking human. I hope I am not interrupting. I've made tea, he said. I thanked him by lovingly laying my hand on his thigh. So, as I was saying, it was more of a reverse colonization. Not by force, but by spreading of ideas. What ideas? Liberal democracy, equality. I gestured around, looking for other examples. Denver gleefully added, drinking tea, as he handed me a cup. The Andekan took it all in. So by spreading their culture and ideas, the humans were able to conquer your species. No. Conquest isn't the right word to use. It was, as the humans called it, the art of compromise. They made themselves useful, indispensable even, and subsequently were able to quite rapidly change our society, our worldview even. We learned to live together. I looked at Denver, taking a moment to let the silence breathe. Quite well. The Andekan nodded contently, readying herself to ask the final question. So, if I understand correctly, the humans achieved political and social power peacefully. I nodded. And you two see yourselves as equal. You aren't this human's conquest. Before I could even answer affirmatively, a devilish grin appeared on Denver's face. Humanity didn't conquer the Abari, but this one here, he said, as from behind the chair he wrapped his arms around my neck. He was conquered. End of story. I'd quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and patrons: Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Lord Azrakal, Dragzoon WRE, Holly Sister, Ambrose Cattell, and Quantum Wednesday. Thank you very much.